What episode is this, Chad?
This is SlapperCast episode number 71.
71.
Oh.
Yep.
And 71.
A lot of good this extra hour did us today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The clocks went back, didn't they?
Who?
Yeah, on the Devlin clock, they went forward. So what we have? Oh, so we have some big news this week. There's
Yeah,
big
we got
announcement.
large news, yes.
Yes.
I showered last night.
With soap and water.
Oh.
Or just water.
Yeah,
Just, just a rinsing.
Making me feel bad.
Yeah.
No, I spent a lot of time in Austin. We just use it. No, first off, we have some great big news that we're very excited about. Also, raised a lot of money for our friends in the Ancient Order of Hibernians, their hunger project. And we worked with a guy named Michael Joyce out of Austin and the National Order of Hibernians. Nice to meet all of them and raise a little bit of money. We had a little fun. Chris Buckley came in from Austin, and we went up to Blackwater Draw Brewing Company and had a really, really fun time at the brewery. And did you get to try any of the beer?
I did.
I know you have.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I tried the Bordertown, which is
Bordertown?
their Mexican-style lager, which is right up my alley when it comes to beer, which I don't drink a lot of beer, but I like the lagers and the pilsners. And it was delightful. It definitely is freaking hot in there.
Yeah.
Where I was sitting anyway. It was warm, and the cold beer added a nice bit of coolness to my palate, and it also gave me the energy I needed to continue.
He wouldn't give me any for some reason, but
Yeah, well.
which one did you have?
I had the Irish coffee stout,
That's not like you.
and so it's like Guinness with coffee.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I heard really good things about that.
Yeah.
And he was drinking what was the girl? The hazy girl or the lazy girl?
Hazy Girl. I think it's the name of one of their IPAs.
That was
With hazy hops. Yeah.
was that smelling fruit from that? Was that a fruity one?
Hops. A lot of IPAs have a floral bouquet. Yeah.
Simmer down.
Whatever they call it.
Take it easy, Frenchie.
Floral nose, because
Yeah.
the hops that they use are very
It's pronounced
floral.
Boquet.
They're either floral, they can be
that's right.
floral, they can be like citrusy.
The Supreme Court ruled in your favor today.
I think
That's right.
that one actually looked like it
That was good news,
That
actually.
one actually
No, it was
looked like
right,
it was citrusy.
But so Chris, the owner, Chris Steele, of O'Bannon's fame, Chris and Stephanie, Chris walked by with that beer, that hazy girl, whatever, and the smell was fantastic. It was just the first time you smell a beer, you go, whoa, that's a.
Yeah.
So I was curious if that's a
Good IPAs, yeah. They've got that nose.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Chris Weingart, their brewmeister, we knew him when he was working at O'Bannon's, just slinging a whiskey. And when they opened Blackwater Draw, the restaurant / brewery, he was. I love when companies hire from within, but I thought, don't you need somebody a little bit more experienced? Well, I eat my words, Chris Weingart. When I see the reaction, because we've played so many shows at O'Bannon's, what he and Chris Steele were doing up there was just absolute. They're catching fire, and hopefully we're going to see their beer in Kroger here in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So Hazy Lady is the newest
Hazy
member
Lady.
of the family, a New England style IPA, single hopped IPA, first brewed in collaboration with Girls Pint Out for our first International Women's Collaboration Brew Day. You can expect a delicious, citrusy, juicy IPA with low hop bitterness. This beer is unfiltered to maintain as much hop flavor as possible, so please enjoy fresh.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yes, you were correct in your citrus analogy.
Good. Yeah. So just a wonderful day and all, and Chris Buckley, as always, just delivered, just smoking performance.
He's fun to play with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although
The shorts.
I was a little disappointed in his attire of choice, but But those Austin guys.
He was kind of pulling us a solid, so like, give him a pass.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I can let go.
But but on the other hand, too, he did have jeans in the car. Not that the car was wearing them or anybody in the car needed them, but he did. And he asked. So
yeah.
Anyway, but we're thrilled to So that was great. A good time was had by all, and I spoke to him the next day. Chris's son Riley, his favorite song is the Pirate song.
Oh, really?
Which I just...
Oh, yeah, he said that.
Yeah, it just floored me.
Cool.
And this isn't the big news, but this is going to be big news when it happens. We're going to do a multi-fiddler show. We're going to have, we've talked about this for a long time, but we're going to have Chris and Jeff come in and do some stuff together because it's just so much fun playing with them, and the Irish with the Irish fiddle with the country fiddle with their own signatures, their own stamp that they put on the music just adds so much. So we're gonna. I told him last night that we need to talk because just like we haven't forgotten about the Mike last show thing, that's gonna happen. This is gonna happen too. The two fiddler thing. So 2, 3, I don't care. But that was big. So and then moving on to again. So we just found out, and actually, so today, Tuesday, we're going to find out tomorrow or Thursday what the time slots are. But we've been booked for Sturgis this year, 80th annual Sturgis.
And Sturgis is, for the uninitiated,
biggest bike rally in the country. World.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
It's got to be.
I can't see anymore.
I can't see.
1.5 million. I talked to Kelly Hunter a couple of days ago. 1.5 million people at the last one, and this is a big one. This is a landmark. Sturgis. It's the 80th.
Yeah.
Annual. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know they had motorbikes.
I was about to say.
Yeah. No, the 80th, and they are. It's going. It's definitely going on. Because that was my first question, because I'd seen some back and forth on whether the locals were going back. So it's definitely happening, and so we're flying up and doing the show. We're going to find out our schedule Wednesday or Thursday. We're very excited about that, and so we'll be no doubt yapping about that later on. We played a biker rally in Lake Somerville in 2010. What year? 10?
09 or 10. Yeah, probably 10.
09 or 010. Yeah. It was. I know we've spoken about it before.
Hogs of Texas.
But Buckley played it with us. Mm-hmm. But the stage that they had erected for that show was, I'm going to say 30 feet in the air. I mean,
it was big.
This monster. It's
what
the ramp,
hell?
huh?
Why? Because it's so big.
Well, it was they knew about my guitar rig, but
it was supposed to be 30 inches, and someone put the foot mark like in Spinal Tap.
The Spinal Tap.
It was like like a traditional festival size. I mean, huge.
But it was just so high up. I couldn't get. I didn't understand why. And the ramp looked like like Evel Knievel was going to try to jump the lake or something. But we backed the van up to it, opened the door, and there was just a line of bikers, and we didn't touch the gear. Everything just went onto the stage. Oh no, wait, no, that's the seat. That's the chair. That's the
steering column.
Yeah, just everything went up. The van within a second was just so everything's on the stage. And we went, all right, like this. And the thing I couldn't get used to was, and nobody had told us but we'd when they liked the song, they'd rev their engines. So they're all in this huge field of bikes and trikes and dikes. And no, that was a different festival.
Probably, you never know.
And but yeah, it was just the roar of the engine. It was better than applause.
Yeah.
And we were so high up you couldn't smell the I'm sure they were just choking to death down there, but they're probably used to it. But yeah, we do great fun and salt of the earth, great people, and
we have videos of that too. There's a couple of videos from that show. Yeah. If you want to see the motorcycles, the revving in place of applause. You're saying it's pretty funny.
Yeah, really fun.
And you can see how big the stage was.
The stage was massive, and but yeah, we had a good time. I think Three Dog Night played as well, and that was we heard later on, we didn't stay, but we heard later on that was a very, very piss poor choice in bands for a biker rally.
Oh, really? So yeah, they got bored.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing. That's not. I mean, so I know for Sturgis they have bands like ZZ Top. I've heard of them before. I think they're three-piece.
They're up and coming, right?
Yeah. Good, good guys. Whippersnappers. Skinner.
REO Speedwagon.
REO Speedwagon. Yeah. Your favorite.
I like some REO. I like their drummer. I can't remember what his name is, but he's got an interesting take on things. So he's not the original drummer, but he's been with them for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
That would be like the last band I would guess to be booked. I mean, Three Dog Night is one thing, but for a biker rally, you would think you'd have bands like Motorhead or
no, they have some. They do have some like kind of metally kind of bands there. Lesser known, but names recognizable names.
I think Volbeat was there last year.
Puddle of Mud maybe is playing or something like that.
Was it Puddle of Mud?
I can't remember who's. I've seen the list. I can't remember who they got there. They get some kind of like kind of aggro kind of bands playing.
Yeah, but anyway,
the bigger stages. Of course.
It's really exciting to be asked and to be to do it. So we're very excited about that. And
El Orbis actually played the Republic of Texas biker rally up in Austin one time.
Oh, really?
Which is completely fucked up. Because El Orbis wore suits. We wore suits on stage, and here we are at a biker rally.
But it's good.
Playing fucking Frank Sinatra tunes.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the only gig where we were like, David, can we please take our jackets off? Because it was probably the hottest gig I've ever played. And he said, yeah, okay. So we all took our jackets off and worked on our shirts and our ties.
Yeah.
But it was just like so bizarre. Like, I remember just like playing, like, why are we doing this? Just why? Who booked this, David?
Yeah.
I think somebody asked for specifically, because someone was like, can the El Orbits play this thing? We're like, sure, what is it? Republic of Texas Biker Rally out at the Travis Expo Center out in the middle of this field in June, just sweating our tits off and just like, fly me to the moon. Just so bizarre. Anyway.
Wow. Well, we have there's a couple of other ones that we've been asked to do, and a couple of other, I mean, not bike rallies, but definitely biker events. And we've had great success with them, at some of the places that we've played. Mm-hmm. And of course, our friends, the bike group here in town, Los Canales, La Familia, they came with us to Ireland. A bunch of them came with us to Ireland, and boy, I tell you something, that was just fun watching them walk into a bar in Ireland. It was just not only are these guys the salt of the earth, but they're also you befriend them. You are your friend for life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People could learn from these guys. So.
I was going to say too, at the Hogs of Texas rallies where we met and have remained friends with Sam Damaris and Slade Ham, two comedians who were doing routines in between the bands. My favorite memory of this, I'm not sure if we got this on video or not. It's definitely not on YouTube, but I think when we closed with Irish Rover at the end of the set, you called up Sam and Slade to come up on stage. And Sam had been dancing out front and had like totally tweaked his ankle.
No.
Oh, no, his shin? I'm sorry, Slade was out front and he had twisted his ankle or something.
No, he broke it. He ripped his tendon.
Okay.
He ripped his
ouch.
Yeah.
So he comes limping on stage with this big grin on his face, like, oops.
Yeah, the Jameson didn't alert him to the severity of the injury. But he will,
Very nice way to put that.
Yeah. He will let you know when you run across him. The last time we saw him actually was actually kind of recently, and he'd asked for a pair of brown eyes by the Pogues. I remember pulling that out.
Oh, good. For a live stream or at an actual gig?
No, we played it. You were there. I know.
You know how many fucking shows we played? Where was it?
Do you know how
Where
many
was
fucking
it?
shows
I
you
don't
played,
know.
Patrick?
Don't say.
Answer the man.
Well, he just
Remember, Slade coincidentally ran into you, was it 2 years ago, the day that Harvey, the flooding of Harvey, right?
yes.
And you and Connor were out there with a kayak right at the edge of the floodwaters.
The Houston was just underwater, and my son and I took the kayak down to the 4 streets down where the water was just all the way up, and I was getting ready to take the kayak out, and Slade had come around on his bike and he was taking pictures. He's a wonderful photographer. I mean, not only a great comedian. Check out the Whiskey Brothers just for some serious comedy.
Yeah, it's their podcast.
But he's a phenomenal photographer as well, and he was out shooting the devastation.
Yeah.
And so when he cycled up on us, I didn't recognize him, full beard and a hat, and so I had no idea. This, oh, here comes a homeless guy with a camera, and turned out to be Slade. Mm-hmm. But of course we run into him as well. Our friend Outlaw Dave. He and those guys are inseparable. So we always run across them, and they're just Sam Damaris at the Hogs the biker rally, the Hogs of Texas. Oh my God, he was the first guy on, and if you haven't seen Sam Damaris before, he you just have to look him up and look at some of his comedy. He's brilliant. They're all really, really brilliant. Sam though, I just remember these big dreadlocks and a Motorhead shirt, and the guy walked out on stage, and he just the confusion. This is Texas, and he said something about being the black guy at a biker rally, and it was just he just won them over first line. The whole place. Oh,
right. Yeah. Yeah. That was brilliant.
Brilliant man.
Did you know Outlaw Dave before that? Because I know that
I've known Outlaw Dave since he used to hold microphones for DJs at 101. I've known him since because he used to come out and he used to do live remotes from places that I worked, Outback Pub and Pig and Whistle, just any rock thing that was going on that 101 sent the guys out. I knew Outlaw Dave, and he used to look like the dead guitar player from Def Leppard, the dead guy. But I've known him for 100 years.
Then you've done some ad spots, radio ads. Was that through him?
No.
Okay,
that was KRBE or whatever.
Okay,
that was a different. But I did some. I did some silly Paddy's Day ads back in the day. But Outlaw Dave has been he's a fixture in local and national radio as well. Good person.
Yeah,
very good person.
Yes. So that's going to be August, but we don't know the exact date we're going to be there. But the thing runs like the first week of August.
Yeah.
First weekend?
July. No,
that's August.
August
5th through the
6th through
12th or something like that.
13th.
It's the first 2 weekends. Two. Yeah, whatever. Goggle that shit. You'll think that.
Yeah.
I'll say 6 through 13.
Okay.
You say 5 through 12.
I'll say 5 through. Well, hold on a second. No, it's actually 5 through.
That's a lot.
16th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a long time.
Yeah.
10 days. There we go.
All right.
Moving on.
That's just a long time for a festival, for any festival. All right. So we have two. Actually, it's sort of one question with a follow-up question.
Oh.
From one of our listeners, actually, is
Robert Earl Mills, birthday 9/16/69.
Oh yeah,
buddy Bob.
Hey Bob,
former classmate, age grades 1 through 12.
Maynard.
Huh? New Hampshire?
Yeah, same thing.
I was actually referring to your questions, but that's okay.
that's fine.
We can do that first.
Do I have questions?
Yeah, you sent us to...
Those are from Bob.
What?
Those aren't mine. Those are from Bob.
Any outside music influences?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bob and his wife.
Well, he didn't credit Bob in the text.
Yeah.
All right. I thought, who was it at? Is it the same guy who asked about Tube versus Solid State? Okay.
You also want to know about something about, is she really going out with him and my best friend's girlfriend? Like, should we talk about that? And
why?
Is she really going out with him? And I said, we're not talking about the Cars. I'm sorry.
The Cars and Joe Jackson?
I said, we're not talking about the Cars. Yeah.
What did was he making a joke?
I don't fucking know. Let me look at this house.
Well, I can answer. I mean, I can tell you anything you want to know about the Cars.
Really?
Yeah. Ask me anything.
He said, maybe it's already been done. Is she really going out with him into my best friend's girlfriend? Just heard the Cars song and thought of that. He says, is she really going out with him? My best friend? Maybe a stretch, but too brainy. LOL. Thank you, Bob.
Let's call it a day. Thanks, Bob. Tune in next week.
I said, we're not talking about the Cars. Yeah.
No.
We already talked about Joe Jackson last week. So
Yeah. But and last week, you know who we forgot? And John Naney let me know immediately.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, John. I'm very, very sorry. But King's X, we didn't mention King's X.
Oh, yeah.
And for bands that should be absolutely massive. So, yes, so we're going to be punished. We're going to be punished when we go back up to Omaha. So, John Naney, I'm very, very sorry.
Especially as Houstonians.
Yeah.
Since they weren't strictly Houstonian, they didn't start off here, but they did. I guess this is where they were.
Don't start trying to get in on his good graces now, Chad.
We've talked about them before.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that was the one that was. So anyway,
What was the question?
So Bob asks, do we have any influence? No, wait, I'm sorry. That was the second part. Big influence for us, biggest influences from non-rock genres.
Right. So I think he's asking, since we are a rock band, I guess, and we talk about rock and roll all the time, I guess he's asking, do we have any other influences from any other type of music?
all right, take it, Chad. You're up.
There's a lot. I've been thinking about this.
And knowing that rock is a very broad umbrella. Very broad.
Right.
If you go to any record store back in the day, like the rock,
Yeah.
covered everything from Michael Jackson to Slayer. So
Right. And there's a lot of obvious answers we could give, which would be kind of boring since people already know that we like Johnny Cash and all that stuff, which isn't strictly rock, but it's definitely informed rock so much it's kind of irrelevant now at this point.
glad he's dead.
But I was thinking the first two people that came to mind for me were Nat King Cole and Bing Crosby, just as vocalists primarily. But I love those two voices are two of the most distinctive singing voices in the world or in the history of music, I think.
I think so.
Nat King Cole especially. I mean, nobody can even imitate him. I haven't heard anybody actually. You can kind of imitate Bing a little bit. At least, it's kind of, yeah, he's got that type of thing. But with Nat, you can't really, what could you do? It's all in the character of his voice and it's really hard to describe. But we used to listen to his Christmas record when I was a kid. It was always my favorite Christmas record. The one that has the Christmas song on it. The song that Mel Torme wrote for him, I think. I don't know anyway. And then later, it was like in my early 20s, I discovered the jazz trio stuff that he had started off with, because he's a pianist. A lot of people don't know that. He started off as a jazz piano player with this jazz, was it a trio? I think it was just a trio. The guitar player and a drum. I can't remember who the third guy was. Bass? Was it bass? But that stuff is fantastic. And he's
a great piano player.
There's loads of it out there to listen to. And for Bing, there's really only one album by Bing that I like, and I intended to Google the name of it before I got here, but I forgot. There's a record he put out in the late 50s called "Swinging with Bing" or something like that. Bing Swings, something along those lines, where it's just him playing a lot of with a jazz band of a friend of his, and and it's a lot of up tempo, like maybe sort of like New Orleans style jazz tunes. Not strictly New Orleans, but just really fun. And the whole there's no backup singers, there's no overdubs or anything. It's just all live in the studio, and he's having a great time singing, and it's just so great. So it really highlights his voice, you know. And there's not a whole lot of production and stuff to kind of bury it.
Nice.
But enough about me.
Cool.
Who's next?
There's a friend of mine in Florida from Glasgow. Used to tell now nobody's. We'll have to cut this part out, but this is the worst joke in history, and paired with the worst Scottish accent in history. But his name is Peter Dugan, and he's from Glasgow. Biggest Celtic supporter on the planet. Sorry, John McAloon, but he used to work in a bar in Pompano Beach, Florida, and he says to me one day, he says, "What's the difference between Bing sings and Walt Disney?" And I said, "I've got no idea, Peter. What is the difference?" He says, "Bing sings and Walt Disney." And so I'll just leave that with you. Anybody that knows the Scottish accent, yeah, you won't get it. But the rest of the good people. Anyway, so moving on. Eric.
What's the question?
Yeah. Come on. That's all you.
Well, I mean, as a drummer, I mean, there's plenty of it. I mean, I've got a rich history of musicians to choose from, everybody from Gene Krupa up to
Show off.
Max Roach and Philly Joe Jones, that are all in jazz, all great jazz drummers, you know. But I could even probably name some influences that were not drummers, if that's humanly possible. I've always liked Beethoven's music. I've always loved his piano sonatas. In fact, I have all the piano sonatas. I have all those at home to listen to, and it's fun to listen to them from the early ones up into the late ones, because you can definitely see a trajectory of his musical growth, and you know, they lump him in the classical category. As far as music goes, you have your Baroque, and you have your Renaissance, your Baroque, your classical, your Romantic, your modern, and et cetera after that period. And they always lump him in the classical category because of the years that he was alive, you know, 1780 to 1826 or whatever it was. And then the Romantic period starts 1820 something or other and goes until, you know, 1870 or whatever it was. And then the modern era starts to come in. But if you listen to Beethoven's music, it's very much, he was the Romantic period. He started the Romantic period of music, the way his chords worked, and obviously his symphonies were still kind of structured in the same way, but he was definitely pushing the envelope as far as sonically what people were used to hearing. You know, I mean, you can look at the Ninth. Everybody loves the Ninth, but like the Sixth and Seventh symphonies are really like, oh, we've reached the Romantic era. Anyway, I can go on and on about that.
Yeah.
But you know, so he's an influence. It took me. I always liked Tony Bennett, but it's only till the last 20 years or so I really started to enjoy Frank Sinatra more.
Oh yeah.
I always thought Frank was kind of a goomba, you know, kind of a show, you know, which he was. I mean, he kind of a show off and whatever else. But then I really dug into his 50s recordings when it was like in the wee small hours, those Capitol records that came out, and they're all fucking brilliant. They're all just like, this is what this guy was supposed to. You know, he sung with Tommy Dorsey back in the 30s and stuff like that, and he kind of went into obscurity in the 40s with the way jazz was moving, but he came out swinging literally in the 50s with those Capitol records, and it just shows the genius of who he was as a singer and the songs that he selected. And you know, there's that great story about him going into the studio in California to record "Strangers in the Night" with the Wrecking Crew guys, you know, and they were all like, there was word, okay, we have this session, it starts at midnight, and it's kind of a hush-hush kind of a thing. And who is it? Somebody. And then the word got out, it was Sinatra. And they all sat up a little bit straighter. And that was in the 64, 62. I can't remember when Strangers in the Night was recorded.
Yeah.
But they all, like, you know, sat up straight and just to show their reverence for him.
Glenn Campbell talks about that.
Yeah, and they came in and they fucking knocked that thing out of the park. And Frank didn't even like the song. He was like, "What is this? What is this bullshit?" Because it's kind of a pop song. It's kind of straight ahead, at 4/4 time kind of a thing, not really a swinger. And then it gets to the end, and he wasn't quite sure what to do. And somebody suggested, "Can you just go like just kind of scat for a little bit?" He's like, "What is this bullshit?" Kind of thing. And at the end of the song, as the song fades out, you hear him go doobie doobie doo, doobie doo. But if you listen to the very end of it, he goes la da 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 da, and his voice just kind of drops, and he's like, "Fucking, I'm done." But so. But then, of course, all the drummers from different, mostly jazz guys, like I said, Gene Krupa for me is him and Louis Bellson are kind of my two guys that I'm just like in, because Gene was like the first rock star. He was the first, like, he was good looking and he had cool hair and he could play the shit out of those drums, even more so for me than Buddy Rich was just, he was just that guy that played drums and stuff like that. And he was great, but I mean, I don't ever pull out a Buddy Rich thing to listen to. I'd rather hear Gene thump on those tom-toms and hear Louis Bellson just swing a band, play double kick drums and stuff like that. So, yeah. I mean, I could go on for days. So I won't.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I looked up the album I was trying to remember, Bing Crosby. It was Bing with a Beat.
Bing with a Beat.
Look that up. That's good shit.
What year was that? 50 what?
Yeah, 50-something. Damn, I lost it now.
Bing was, God, he'd been around for the 50s? He'd been around. He'd been singing for 30 years by then.
Yeah, this was definitely later in his career. This was 57.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
He had done Holiday Inn, and he had done, I think, White Christmas by then. Just about. White Christmas may have come out. The movie may have come out. Definitely late 50s.
Oh yeah. I think that was 40s, though, wasn't it? White Christmas.
Nope. Maybe. That was in the 50s. Because, and the reason why I say 50s is because some of that movie could be an hour and a half long, but it's really 2 hours long because of the...
Okay, yeah, the song was 1942.
Yep.
And this movie was 54. Yeah. There you go. I know they re-recorded it.
Some of those music scenes in that movie, just fucking cut that shit out. But anyway.
That was, it appeared in two films, actually, because there was a White Christmas film, but then there was also Holiday.
Holiday Inn was first.
Holiday, yeah.
And that was the idea that he was going to be only open on holidays.
Right.
And it makes the President's Day segment very awkward these days since they're all doing it in blackface.
Yeah, there's that thing about Lincoln that's kind of cringy.
Father Abraham.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all playing tambourines. And it's very awkward.
Yeah.
Not awkward, it's fucked up.
I think that was their idea of being PC at the time, was to even mention.
But if you notice in White Christmas, they do a whole minstrel show scene as well, which is the same thing but without the blackface.
Oh, really?
Sort of,
okay.
Sort of, yeah.
Oh,
they talk about minstrel shows, which are mostly an African American thing.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see White Christmas. I saw Holiday Inn, but not.
Say again?
I guess I haven't seen the movie White Christmas because I know I've seen Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn is black and white,
right?
And it's basically he breaks up with his girlfriend and goes off to the inn, and Fred Astaire's in that one. Fred Astaire's in Holiday Inn. He's the rival.
Right.
He's kind of a dick, actually. He plays kind of a jerk in that one.
Yeah.
Holiday Inn, they're out of the army, and they're chasing these two girls around, and they end up showing up at this inn, and their old general runs the inn, and is losing money because it's wintertime and there's no snow, and again, so they decide to hold their show there. I'm going to give away the ending. It snows on Christmas Eve when they do the show. Sorry, Patrick. And they sing White Christmas with vigor.
Yes.
Wow.
And there's a bunch of kids in it that Bing Crosby beats up. I'm sorry, what? Because he used to beat his kids, right? Anybody?
Oh.
No? Come on. Right. Stay with us here, Jack. Don't let me take my belt out on you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some off-color stories you could tell with that guy. Anyway, so
Patrick, outside influences?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say Frank. I couldn't care less about Frank. Dean Martin was my go-to just because there was so much humor in his, even when he was being serious, but so much humor in it, and Frank's voice to me always just lacked a little bit, just lacked a little depth. And again, just loved watching them. I love watching those roasts and all that stuff. But Dean Martin was always and Sammy Davis. I could not get over how just incredibly gifted Sammy Davis was. But the stuff that really drove me was, and to this day, my favorite. I love musicals. I loved the movies of these. Sound of Music is still to this day my favorite soundtrack of all time, just because I thought Christopher Plummer and what's my girlfriend's name? Julie Andrews. I thought their voices together were incredible, and the Rodgers and Hammerstein putting that music together and all that stuff. That stuff just floored me as a kid, and to this day it's still. But then I got into classical later, and I lumped Beethoven into that because I could tell you nothing about the time periods and. But I mean, I have a bunch of CDs and I used to listen to it a lot, when doing stuff around the house, I like to have a lot of noise, and it's just very strange listening to that stuff really loud, but it's this kind of stuff that translates really well into big, loud, and I can't take it when it gets real, just real quiet, because back in
it'll sneak up on you.
Yeah, so I liked all that stuff, and my first show ever. I mean, I was knee height or a grasshopper when I saw it, but we were in Vegas and we saw the Carpenters, and that was pretty close to rock and roll for me back then because I had no idea what but still, it's definitely the furthest thing from rock and roll. But they have so much music in there because we were playing this weekend. We did the fundraiser for the Hibernian Hunger Project, and we're setting up, and they had this country song, and I was making fun of it afterwards. But the vocal line was and it really. And that was doing it justice. I apologize for doing it so well.
Good.
Yeah, that's better what it sounds like.
Note to self, new career.
Trademark Cody Johnson. What?
Here
comes the hate mail.
But it was. I mean, torturous. And luckily we were, because I was boasting about being able to tune that stuff out. But the music and the amount of sound that was coming off that stage of it. I remember as a kid, it changed me. It just at that moment, and then the we've talked about this before, and I apologize for saying it again, but the moment that I knew I wanted to do this for a living was when I was a little bit older, and we were down in the Glen Eagle in County Kerry, and we saw the Wolf Tones, who we've now befriended. Derek Warfield, but they took a break and they left all their gear on the stage, and then they played the rock and roll, of the day, which would have been ABBA and Bee Gees and Glenn Campbell and that kind of kind of stuff. Well, my neighbor at the time, Jimmy Shields, he and I jumped up on the stage. We're very small children, but we got up and we were miming the songs with the instruments. Imagine doing that. And we were getting applause, and people were digging it, and light went off.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything crazy like go and get an instrument or learn anything. No. I just sat around and waited for 100 years after that. But it was so all that stuff moved me to here,
Julie Andrews was what if you hadn't said it yourself, I would have said, what about Julie Andrews? I know that you've sung her praises many times.
Yeah, and I'm not crazy about the music most of the time, but to hear the purity, just the brilliance of Barbra Streisand voice. No matter what you think of her, her music or whatever, but hear that voice at full voice and that clarity and that, I mean, that's
she's definitely
that's inhuman. And Dolly Parton, same thing, same. At that, well, no, I mean, yeah, she can put that, she can belt a note out. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm teasing about
the
that.
pre-recording stuff.
We talked about that, that pantomime show that she does now, where she fakes playing stuff, and her nails are longer than my legs,
right?
And she's playing a mandolin and a fiddle and a banjo and a
saxophone,
harpsichord. Yeah, you're not. But anyway, so I just. So there's a lot of stuff that happened outside of rock that moved and changed.
I think, just as any musician, I mean, the jazz guys are a little bit more. What's the word I want here without offending anybody?
Fake
Nazis, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
About what they like and dislike, and they dislike a lot of stuff. But I think anyone else is a little bit more open to other influences around them. Because I've heard. Actually, Branford Marsalis came to school when I was in Miami. He came and he didn't play, but he just came and talked about stuff. And everybody knew that Wynton, his older brother, trumpet player, great. He played either jazz or he played classical music, but he never did any sideman stuff for rock. Branford's done a bunch of rock stuff, and he played with Sting and he played with all these guys. And Branford's like, he's like, we don't talk about music when we get together because he doesn't. I know my brother just doesn't like a lot of stuff. He doesn't like a lot of the same stuff that I do. He's like, I like soul and funk and rock, and he likes jazz and classical. So, but it was to the point where even back in the 50s when the jazz guys would tour, they'd see a jukebox, and then 50s, of course, when rock and roll was happening, and they would purposely dismantle it somehow so that they didn't have to listen to rock and roll while they were sitting in the bar or whatever. Put chewing gum in the coin slot or whatever. And these are stories that these guys would tell. We don't want to hear that shit, And,
wow.
Well, I mean, but you can now, at least from what we heard, the past that
I'm not denying that that's not an effective way to tune that shit out. But,
Well, we are lucky that we don't have to, we're not smothered by all that music, that style. If you want to torture yourself, if you're into, if you're just a complete masochist, just go to Buc-ee's and try to stand in there for more than 5 minutes without ripping your own ears off your head and eating them. They find the worst music possible, and talk about 100 acres of shit for sale, and there's nothing in there worth buying. I mean, just absolutely. Where do you find this shit? This is a stuffed roadkill beanbag,
But I do have a bonus for you. When you go to Buc-ee's and you hear that music, you can actually buy the same CD at the counter. They have all the CDs at the counter. You can purchase one if you'd like.
Well,
next time you stop.
That's nice for you to say, but you can. There's also like 8-inch nails you can drive into your privates.
That's true.
Yeah. So I'm just saying.
Not 9-inch nails.
And if you let them rust first, then bonus. You get the
not 9-inch nails.
Oh no,
8-inch nails.
Yeah. I'm talking.
Jesus
quality.
was a fan of 9-inch nails.
I'm talking quality.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Not quantity.
Exactly. Chad's over there. Where am I going to get a nail?
for my own edification.
Is that where the band name Nine Inch Nails came from? Was
from driving?
I always thought it was
hanging out Jesus
fingernails. Like.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I have no idea.
The difference between Jesus and a picture of Jesus only takes one nail to hang up the picture of Jesus. Yeah. It's not even Easter. Not even Easter.
I thought you were talking about the guy out there doing.
No, not that guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure where 9-inch nails came from, but they're fun. They had a couple hits.
So this is also from Bob, right? This
I don't know. What's the question?
Any influences outside of music?
It's all about influences today.
Books, movies, etc. Painting? I don't know.
I think, and he was also asking too, I think, as far as that goes, this probably applies to you mostly. Do you find other influences, or how do you find influences for lyrics, songwriting?
That's
And you may have already talked about this at another. podcast,
I'm sure we have, but you know what? It's like the question: how long is a piece of string? It's never answered. There's no answer, but and you can talk forever on it.
Sure.
And it's a great question in that. Just the other day, so if you go into that little space that I'm setting up that music area again. So I found my lyrics to these songs, and going through it is hysterical because I can make fun of other people's lyrics, which I've done before, Twisted Sister, and Poison and all that stuff. But the place where you find lyrics is everywhere. Just Bucky's alone. You can write. You can write. I'm stack of albums just on that, just in your experience alone. Most of it will be about going postal and self-mutilation, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But so I like to run, which is probably breaking news. Yeah,
run for office or
running that
like
too. That's
jogging.
coming. That's coming. Jogging.
Oh, jogging.
But when you get into that headspace, and it's usually only minutes into your run, when you get your mind clears and you're able to. Well, I'm able to focus really well, and memories are churned up and they just explode. So outside influences would be, your surroundings of your, like the van time as well. There's some just genius moments in there where we're bantering back and forth and just lobbing these kind of silly subjects around, and then it turns into something. It's much like this. And so the lyric ideas are endless, and they never stop. If you write them down, and I heard it for years before I did it. Get it, write it down. Idea, get it, write it down. Record it, do whatever you can, write it down. And it's. But back to the question. So outside influences for me are always these memories and these old journal style, or photographs and stuff like that going through. It's just amazing what you'll conjure up in your head, and then when you listen to somebody like Tom Waits, when you listen to him just being interviewed. I told you I was watching the Letterman Tom Waits interviews and listening to his answers and his questions.
Yeah.
It's like, my mind is too small. I must enlarge. So,
Would you say like because I a lot of your words that you write seem to me are akin to the one-liners that you come up with on the fly, which is that's also part of your stage banter as well. And in the past, you've credited your dad with kind of guiding you in that direction.
My dad definitely a big influence. He didn't. I didn't get that style from him. I got his. The thing my dad would do that I do is go into a restaurant and immediately break the waitress or the waiter down in not maliciously, like not taking them, but break them down. Take the hi, welcome to name of restaurant here. I'm Melanie. I'll be your waitress. It's just immediately just stop that shit and stop. Hey, how are you? Oh, I wasn't prepared for that. And you start there, and then you kind of just make them feel comfortable and stuff like that. And it's huge when you are able to have that human connection. I mean, you just stop being that. I remember somebody long time ago, as a teacher or something, talking about being at the shops, and the cashier was saying, "Thank you, have a nice day," or "Thank you, something for coming down. Have a nice day. And it was a line, regurgitated line that happened to each and every customer. And the teacher, whoever it was, said, no, I'm a different person now. You can, you don't even have to say anything if you don't want to. But stopping that thing, and so that's kind of what I do. And the stage thing is it has to be a moment. It has to be I was so happy when I saw this David Lee Roth clip where you go, hey, wow, look at all the people here tonight, and the crowd goes crazy, and he stood there for a while. He's soaking in the applause, and I thought it was great. But then I saw it in another video. I was like, oh, Jesus, don't do that again. Yeah, okay, it worked there, and they're doing arenas, so you gotta have, good stuff. So he used it again. Then I saw it again. So it's a little bit let down. I don't want to do that. I want it to be your show. You're here for this show, and this is going to be for you. And we're not taking this and just uplifting it and dropping it in the next slot. We're gonna give it to you. So I really try to play on stuff that's happening in the venue that we're at, and customize it for the people that are there, and it works against you a lot of the times because you want to. There's been times where I drop like a motherfucker I forgot about to thank, and they're not thinking about it,
right?
Because they know it's a genuine, So
I would say comedy has definitely been an influence on you. That's something that's outside of rock, I would say. Just as an observer.
Yeah. Oh, I think that comedians should run the country.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I just on their ideas alone. Yeah, they get laughs and stuff like that, but think about what, I've just listen to Cat Williams' observations, or Dave Chappelle's, his latest special.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're not thinking inside of Washington D.C. They're thinking for the world. They're thinking for mankind. They're not thinking for me and a laugh right now. They're putting real shit for.
Yeah, they shine a light on things that I think it's amazing how they can elucidate something in just a couple of words that it takes somebody else like me like an hour to explain.
But comedy, that's and that's been a connecting. It's been a big connection just for all of us. It's been our for instance, if we were to say Dane Cook, we would have bottles thrown at us right in this room because but that was one of the things that we bonded on. We were all huge comedy fans, but the same comedy, it was the same. We didn't get the hey, you see Carrot Top's new spec, we know what we know how to get outside of the Sesame Street line of comedy and into so that's it.
So I would say that when you and I first met, there was really, you could just take the handful of influences that we shared, and that still is so important now. There was Monty Python first, and there was Bowie, and there was Elvis. Yeah, and
but even comedy
that was
too.
Basically it.
Just even sticking on the comedy, we had the Billy Connolly's and the Richard Pryor and the all that stuff that we had immediately
Early on, I before I discovered music, I wanted. There was a period where I wanted to go into comedy too, but that didn't last. It's weird for me to think about now because I don't like being, unless I'm singing, I don't really like to be calling attention to myself for any reason whatsoever.
That's what comedians do.
And I know, but back then that was like, I guess, I don't know. My dad would have me, I would memorize entire scenes from the Holy Grail and routines by Robin Williams. I had a record, one of Robin Williams' first comedy records that he put out, which I think I memorized the entire thing.
Give us a taste.
Give us a segment.
Oh God, I'm trying to think of just one thing from that. I couldn't even do it.
Next week.
This is what I'm telling you. It's like I don't want to do this.
I want a solid 5 out of you next week.
What's that?
I want a solid 5 minutes out of you next week.
But could you imagine just walking out with a bottle of water and a microphone, and that's you've got to own that room. Fuck that. I'm going. no way, not a hope in hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make people laugh. I just got to undress, but I can't do anything to walk into a crowd and take charge like that. Fuck that. You know, I'm lucky. I got, you know, always surround yourself with better musicians. Tip number 1. Tip number 2 is when you have them behind you and you're rehearsing, man, you can go into any room or any bike rally. But you know, that's a gift. I'm just telling you about Sam Damaris walking in front of you know the Hogs of Texas. First guy out there. And I'll tell you that he would have been last man standing too if it had to come to, you know, and Slade was great too. I was just thrilled that they put, which has to happen more often. I know it was huge in the 90s, but they have to put comedians and bands back on the road together. And, you know, I think I was just talking to John Laney about this. I mean, I think that Doug Stanhope and Blaggards need to, that will happen. God,
that'd be so cool.
I'll sell my kidneys to work with that guy. But
there is one quote from the record I just remember. No, I'm not going to do a routine, but
come on.
A quote from this record was, I think it was his first comedy record. Marker.
You didn't just Google it, did you?
Tell me when you're ready.
There's a line from that. This character he does at the end of the record. The record's called Reality, What a Concept. I think it was the first record he put out of his routines. But he has this old man character he does at the end, which is basically like an old version of himself, where he says, you got to stay a little full goose bozo, a little touch of madness. You got to keep that touch of madness. A little touch of madness will keep you alive. And I always held that really, really dear to my heart because he was right, you know. But of course, it's a whole other story. It's a sad story about what happened to him in the long run.
Right.
Wait, what?
But I'm not going to get into that. But Robin Williams was he was my hero when I was 12, 13. You know, and that first record is great. He got a little redundant, a little repetitive. He went through a period. I think it was the early '80s period when he was having a lot of drinking and drug problems. His routines got really. He would start recycling jokes a lot.
Do you still have that Mork outfit that you wore?
No, but I had my hair. I had Mork hair for a long time.
I still got the
rainbow suspenders.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that would definitely be one influence for me too. That was not music.
Yeah.
And you have any favorite comedians?
Any favorot comedians?
Yeah. Besides Gallagher.
Besides Gallagher and Carrot Top
and his twin
Dane Cook.
Yeah.
God. Fucking Dane. That's the guy that needs to get punched in the taint, like you read about. Fucking guy. I had my dad had hidden in his records. He had Richard Pryor's greatest hits, and I played the grooves off that record when I was a kid. I thought that was just like, and for being a white kid from northern New Hampshire, where there were no African Americans except for Mr. Davis, it was kind of eye opening into black culture, which kind of helped shape me a little bit to get more into. Obviously, music was the influence of African Americans on music was huge, but I loved that record. God damn, it was so funny.
What was the record?
His greatest, just a random like Richard Pryor's greatest hits record.
Okay.
And it was a collection of he had probably 2 or 3 albums out by then, and so it was stuff off that. He had Black Dracula and Better Be Home by 11 and The Exorcist and all this stuff. That was just, oh my God, it's so. If you can Google that stuff, it's the best.
It was depressing though, listening to people in the 80s and 90s too, because there was so much stuff ripped off from him.
Oh yeah,
which it's inevitable because you don't own the topic of whatever any topic, you don't own it. However, the thing that they can never take were his drug stories.
Yeah.
And I don't do heroin on the weekdays or coke on the weekends. It's a good, nice little balance. But I've no frame of reference for what he was talking about.
Sure.
But the way he would just cover the audience with these visions and these memories and these and then of course just the you could tell what was spontaneous too when you watch it again, you listen to it again, you can tell what was for that night only and blah blah blah. But you're there with him in the, you know, then you go a few years on, you know, and Eddie Murphy does Raw, and which was fantastic at the time. I find it very, very dated now. But
especially that outfit.
Yeah.
So the one with the red leather one piece.
Yeah.
But I wear that.
But then he was still doing stand up then. I mean, and then he stopped.
Yeah.
After Delirious. I mean, was it Delirious or Raw was the first one? Delirious is the first one.
Yeah.
In the red outfit, and Raw's the one in the black outfit.
Yeah.
Well, it's the first one that I was talking
You're probably
about.
right.
The first one. Yeah. That one, I like that one. I didn't like Raw so much.
Yeah, I like the first one.
Right.
Yeah, the second one to me was part two. It was the sequel. You know, it was, and it wasn't. Yeah. But the influence was there. It wasn't stolen. And then that cocksucker Cosby comes out and starts giving him shit. You know, it was after the first one. You know, he starts giving him Cosby. Like, so I was delighted.
Stay in your lane, Bill.
Yeah. But anyway, I know we're going far afield here. But the beauty of Richard Pryor was, that, you know, there's just he just went out on his journey, same as Chappelle. I don't care what anybody says. That guy is on a one-man journey. And he is conquering the planet. Yeah. He is brilliant. He is endless. He is timeless. He is prolific. He's just beyond. Anyway, so I'm going way, way too far. So.
There's so many better routines that we could mention for Richard Pryor, because he was just such a saint, so brilliant. But that I always think of him when I'm in a restroom at a gig and people start talking to me, because that was part of that movie where he's talking about the freebasing accident he had. I think it's that same movie. He talks about the awkward conversations he has with fans in the bathroom. Yeah, it's so on the nose. It's you know, people trying to shake his hand at the urinal, things like that. Anyway,
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, but as far as like outside influences, especially with comedians, I like the idea of, I guess it's the creative element of that, like comedy and movies. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a huge Jaws fan, and I just finished Carl Gottlieb, who helped kind of finish the screenwriting and actually wrote most of that movie as it was happening. Had a book called The Jaws Log, where it talks about Peter Benchley writing the book and then finishing the movie. And it's really, and it talks about, like, it's like just his diary of how the movie got made. And so, like, that creative process, I like to draw inspiration from. I mean, I don't know how it affects my drumming, but it's just, I'm just interested in how other people create things that aren't music.
Yeah.
Not so much like art, like painting and stuff. I don't really have a brain for that, but like, you know, movies and comedy, I like to hear how people create. And the idea of, like, you know, they go up on stage and they might have notes. Oh yeah. And they tell the story and they see what works and what doesn't work, and they go back and they rewrite it or they change it. You know, the guys, like, you know, even like, you know, Chris Rock will show up at a comedy club in New York to do like a 12 to 12:10 a.m. set just to try new stuff out. You know, Chappelle will show up. So, you know, Joe Rogan shows up, whoever, Tim Dillon shows up just to kind of work on. Somebody said that, you know, Eddie Murphy showed up one time just to try out some new stuff, and he might want to get back on the stage, and like all these, just the idea of just like, you know, Patton Oswalt just like showing up and being like, I got this idea, I want to run by you, kind of a thing, and see how the crowd reacts. I mean, it's you know, it's like trying out a new song. Like, okay, they like that one. Yeah. Or I liked it, but it didn't quite work this way. We go back in, we retool it, and so that's always been inspiration to me, like how things get created.
Yeah. Side note, I think it was I don't know if it's the latest season, but one of the most recent seasons of Comedians in Coffee, or Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, with Jerry Seinfeld's series that he has. I think the first episode of one of the new seasons was Eddie Murphy, and I think there was a whole 40-minute. It was like one of the longer episodes. Yeah. And it was so great. And he talks about that. Jerry's kind of nudging him. It's like, when are you going to get out there and perform? You know, because he's clearly still got it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So
It
anyway,
hasn't aged either.
I know it's crazy.
He's got how many kids?
Yeah.
10 kids?
Hey, kids.
Something like that.
I don't know.
He's got a bunch of kids.
I've got to note into him. I want him to adopt me.
And he looks like he hasn't aged
Yeah.
since the 80s. And
Yeah.
fucking, he does those voices.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, he did the clip I saw from that, as Chad says, comedians in coffee getting cars. But I saw him doing, he was doing a Tracy Morgan impersonation. And Tracy Morgan, to me, is a great comedian, but he's hard for me to follow because I'm not up with the storylines that he follows. Me, being I don't like Saturday Night Live, anything about it. So if he goes off in town, I don't know what he's talking about. So there are moments where I kind of go underwater and just can't get back out. So, but his impersonation of Tracy Morgan was spot on. You close your eyes, you're like, oh, I can't. Oh, wait a minute. So it was, but I can see also in your playing, I really can see and Chad will back me up on this.
Really?
Yep. I can see in your playing. There's a lot of humor in our when we like, because we do a show and it's our very good friend Sharon, Greg's wife. She'll say to us constantly, she goes, "I've never seen the same show twice," and they've been to more shows than
we have.
Yeah, and
hey now.
So in the show, if there's a running theme, a running joke throughout the night, we'll be able to bat that around because we know each other pretty well. But I'll say in your playing, your humor comes through.
Oh yeah.
So we know what you just did because you accented one part of the song that we were joking with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I can see your influences there, and of course your dad humor, I think they call it now. The kids are calling it these days. Your
dad jokes.
Yeah, there's just the play on words and the thing, stuff like that. You can see where that comes from, but then your playing is, although it can be very, very serious, we always have a nice little humorous element in there, and
definitely,
yeah. But that's what it makes it. It makes it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I hope it doesn't get like old, but there's a couple things I'd like to do here and there that just like, this is fun for me at least. So,
yeah. But it's and again, it's nice to be able to express yourself musically and not have to be again, we joked about it before listening to the board mix for a band. I go, wow, that was live. I don't want to fucking play that. You know what I mean? Just it's so crisp and it's so rehearsed and it's so picture perfect. Right. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do the song where we were a little bit fast here, but you feel the energy from it, and you're not destroying the dance floor, nor you're not making it uncomfortably fast or uncomfortably slow, or you're just making it to you're setting the scene and you're playing your music the way it's supposed to be delivered. So. Yeah.
I think the thing that comes to mind immediately if we're thinking about your humor is the way that you play Waxy Stargle, where you put that dead break in the middle of the instrumental sections that nobody expects.
It's just a complete, we just flipped it upside down from what it used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And that always shocks the audience when that happens, which is the whole point, I think, right? So
that's fun.
Yeah. So what's okay? You mentioned movies and Jaws. What's a movie? Since we're running out of time now, what's a movie
Porky's
that had
Porky's 2, please come on,
sorry.
God,
that had an impact on you that really moved you to create or do?
That's a hard question.
Well, I don't know if it moved me to create, but the one that floored me, that just turned everything around for me. Was Pulp Fiction. Only reason I say that one is because I had never seen so many big stars in a movie and it was put in a blender. There was no timeline to it, and there was no the dialogue was like this. The dialogue wasn't Hollywood, and it wasn't Mickey Mouse, and it wasn't Shakespeare, and it wasn't, you know, it's just it was people on the street talking, and it was subject matter and scenes that you can relate to, but it was done in such a beautiful way, so pieced together so well. I mean, never lacked for blood or violence, which is a big must for me in a movie.
Yeah,
and you know, so that was kind of one, you know, a modern flick that changed me for.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I wanted to create after that. I definitely wanted to
Well,
see.
it got you thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. I think I mentioned it. We actually mentioned Pulp Fiction, I think, in another show, and we actually studied that in college. I was taking a class on
Really?
on modernism or postmodernism, and our professor, who's a great professor, James Pipkin, he had us watch that movie, and a big portion of the class was us talking about Quentin Tarantino and his work because that movie doesn't happen linearly. You know, it's told out of the scenes are presented out of order, which is, and you don't really realize it until later. You know, the way things actually, the order in which events actually happen.
Right.
That's an element of postmodernism where time and space don't necessarily adhere to the rules that we expect them to, and that you can tell a story you can tell a story by breaking those rules is one of the tenets of it. Anyway, so
Cool.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many because you're a buff.
I like movies, man. I couldn't even pick. I mean,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang did movie.
Chitty Bang. That's good. That's good family entertainment.
I love the music.
The guy that did
Cool
the
fucking
special
concept.
effects for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang did the same special effects for Jaws. So there you go.
Oh yeah, really?
See? I tie it all together.
There you
You're
go.
welcome.
Yep.
Okay, Music Man. Anybody? No, I have too.
Yeah, that's good.
You know,
That's a
I
great
love.
movie. Yeah, that's a good movie.
What's her
No,
name?
I love the music.
What's her name? Shirley Jones. Beautiful in that movie.
Kissing Cousins. All right. I'm trying to get real shot.
Live a Little, Love a Little. Anybody? Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny.
Harem Scarum.
Movie that I really enjoy. There's just too many because you can draw influences from. I can draw. I'm such a huge movie fan. And I've seen a bunch of them. That it's hard to pick just one
I know.
any particular
Yeah.
reason. You know.
What about you?
I think the greatest American movie ever made was The Best Years of Our Lives. I think is one of the greatest American movies ever made.
Yeah. Who was in that?
Who was in that? Frederick March was in that.
From what year? Is this an old movie?
Yeah, 46 or 7, made right after World War II.
Okay.
Shelley Long?
About World War II, vets coming home, and actually one of the first movies to ever deal with, because they didn't talk about it. It's first to deal with PTSD.
No.
Really? After
Cool.
in the 40s. I mean, they didn't call it that. It wasn't called that back then. But you see 3 different war veterans come back and how they deal with the shit that they dealt with.
Wow.
One guy drank himself silly. One guy had flashbacks and was angry and had got into fights and stuff like that. And one guy had lost both his arms and he had to deal with coming home and having his family treat him differently and stuff like that. So, but I mean, Citizen Kane, of course, is great.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go on. I mean, On the Beach by Stanley Kramer is great. I mean, these are just movies that are just kind of out there. Hard Day's Night is great.
Yeah.
Any of the James Dean movies are fantastic, and not because he's dead, because he died young, because he just actually was amazing. And
He
East of
was, yeah.
Eden and Rebel Without a Cause and Giant, he was just like, what the fuck is this all about? It's really turned acting on it.
Yeah.
And in Giant, he's dealing with Liz Taylor and Rock Hudson's kind of old Hollywood, and he's like the new Hollywood, and the way those two combine, is just interesting. So
Yeah.
go on and on and on about movies.
You got any more?
I've got tons more, but that's yeah.
And Pulp Fiction, I mean, the Tarantino movies were always, I haven't seen them all, but visually striking, and his use of music in those movies is remarkable. I think him and Scorsese, the way they use music in their movies is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think Quentin Tarantino's got a leg up on him. I just watched
Oh, yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is fantastic, I thought.
Oh my, I loved it too.
The ending, I was just like,
I haven't seen that one
that's
yet.
why it's called this. Yeah, I know. I figured it out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I need to see that.
Yeah, it's an absolute must. And again, if you're a Tarantino fan, but the ending was just at the right time. It was just, I mean, the movie was just getting right there, and they just. But
and I was like dreading it. At the end, I was like, oh, I know exactly what happens here. Oh, that didn't happen. No. Oh, this is actually good news.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah. Mum's the word.
Yeah, she buys the dog, and then she.
Brad Pitt's great in that movie. I was just like, wow.
Well, I've said that before. I always despised Brad Pitt because I wanted him to be bad at acting. I looked at him. I said, "Oh, this guy." And I saw him. Then I saw him again. And I saw him again. I said, "This isn't a fluke."
And he keeps pulling more out of the tank.
I know.
Yeah.
And he. And DiCaprio, same thing.
I was going to say that
Johnny
scene
Depp.
where he's dressed like the cowboy talking to that little girl. I was like, wow, that's really fucking good acting right there. It's a good scene.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, when movies, I think that we need to do a special podcast that doesn't end. We just need to, because it's.
I watched a history of film, which is on Hulu, I think, and the funny thing is, and Leslie talked, she couldn't watch it because it drove her crazy, but the narrator is Irish, and he talks like this. Every time he says something, it ends with a question. Here comes Stanley Kubrick down for 2001, and the scene that they shot was looking into the future, but looking into the past. Every time the motherfucker said something, it ends with with an uptake on the end, and it was tough to get through, but it was definitely well worth a watch because that documentary shows movies from all over the world, and the different influences that they pick from, and how they influenced other directors and movie makers. It's
I love that
fantastic.
stuff. I love all those documentaries about how listening to these guys talk about their craft and how they get their ideas, how the hell they have to go through to make those things reality, and just the tenaciousness it requires. It's amazing. But I was thinking about this on the way over here, and this is a movie I haven't thought about in a long time, but it's not a particularly good movie. I really want to go and watch it again. I haven't seen it in years and years and years. But it was Luc Besson, the French filmmaker. He did a movie called Subway in 1985, I think, with Christopher Lambert, who went on to be the Highlander later. And the movie is where he's like a two-bit criminal, like a common thief or whatever, who gets accidentally mixed up in the French mob. And as part of the movie, there's this side story going on where he's putting a band together of musicians he meets in the subway.
Sure.
And one of them is the guy who Luc Besson obviously did The Professional, the movie about the hitman.
Oh, yeah. Saw that one.
Yeah, and the guy who plays the hitman is in this as a musician.
Sean.
Yeah.
That guy.
Claude Van Donk.
Yeah.
Jean-Claude Goddamn.
And he has a supporting role. He's great in it too. But there's a scene in the movie where the band finally gets a singer. Part of the thing is the Christopher Lambert's character trying to find a singer for this band, because he's not in the band. He's just putting it together. And they finally find the singer, and they sing this song. And it's not a particularly good song, but for some reason, after I watched that movie, I was 15. No, I guess I was 16. And I'd only been playing guitar for a few months at that point, but I went home that night and I finally finished my first song after seeing this movie. It had such a it really hit me for some reason.
To go through 3 hours to find out what your answer to Bob's question was.
That movie and Terry Gilliam's Brazil, which came out around the same time. Those two movies, at least for when I was in my mid-teens.
What was the name of the song?
I don't know.
That you finished that day.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. And it's not, I went back and I looked it up years ago. I looked it up on YouTube, and it's not a particularly good song either.
Your song.
Oh, my song. Sorry. Yes. My song.
Start again.
Stoney McGee. Strikes again.
It was a song called Standing on Rubber.
Was a condom song?
Which was standing on what?
Standing on Rubber.
Standing on
rubber. You're at a playground.
It was very much, the lyrics were very David Byrne-ish, as you would expect. It was obviously a huge Talking Heads fan at the time. But yeah, not a particularly good song either. But
can you give us Taste.
Take a look at this person sitting with you. He's got his pencil, got his paper. He's got nothing else to do. That was the first verse.
Nice.
Yeah, you got it.
He's standing on rubber.
I'll get the guitar.
Yeah, if he jumps too hard, he'll bounce away. That was the chorus.
That's kind of cool.
It went on for a while, like 4 or 5 verses, I think.
God, fucking Bob Dylan. Jesus.
Yeah.
Turn that shit off.
That was back when all my songs were E, A, and D, because those were the only chords I knew.
You didn't take a bus across town to learn the G chord like George Harrison, like those guys did.
Right.
Or they go.
It was B7 was the chord. Yeah,
right. We gotta go learn the B7 chord. Get on the bus.
Yeah. That is a tricky one. You're starting off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow. 12:45. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's what you get when you go all movie on comedian on us.
Bunch of goddamn hippie musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as always, there's tons more we could say.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks for the
Thank
question,
you. That was
Bob.
a great question.
Hopefully we didn't disappoint
Yeah.
when you hear this today, tomorrow,
Tuesday.
What day is it even?
It's Tuesday.
Who knows? Tuesday. Today.
Yeah.
Later today.
Yeah, and but again, a big thank you to everybody that donated to the Hibernian Hunger Project, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. We're gonna have our Sturgis dates released as soon as we get them on Wednesday or Thursday. So hit up the website, and we're holding out hope for the first Friday in Bryan, and Pirate Festival's still going on. Wildcatter's still going on. So July, we should be back in the saddle, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look for some real fun stuff, y'all.
Yeah. It's gonna be good. And be safe, y'all. Be good.
Yeah,
Be good,
thanks
be
for
safe.
listening.
See y'all.
All
I
right.
was saying y'all.
All y'all.
All y'all.
All right.
On y'all.